Tuscaloosa to frenzy.
Firing. Touchdown, Alabama.
SEC champions, Alabama, Crimson Tide.
We talked about Alabama.
Step back three. Money. And the Alabama Crimson Tide will roll into the Final Four.
Roll Tide!
Roll Tide and welcome to Tide TV This Week. I'm Roger Hoover, joined by Paige Riley. It's great to have you back on the show, Paige. And as we tape this today, happy birthday. Roll Tide.
Thank you. Also, happy birthday to Coach DeBoer as well. It's going to be a busy week here at the Capstone with homecoming.
Certainly will be, as the Crimson Tide football team was in Knoxville this past weekend, going into the matchup with the Vols. The Crimson Tide had won 16 out of the last 17 games.
And along with that, Alabama had a 60-38 all-time series advantage.
The Crimson Tide forced 3 first-half turnovers in the ballgame. Malachi Moore's forced fumble was recovered by Jahad Campbell. Moore then had the Crimson Tide's second takeaway on Tennessee's first drive of the second half. This time, interception from the Vols' backup quarterback Gaston Moore. Then on the next drive, it was Tennessee's Nico Iamaleava rolling out, and Quandarius Robinson got the hit on his arm just as he was throwing. That caused the pass to flutter into the air into the arms of awaiting Jalen Mbakwe.
There was only one score in the first half, and it was a 5-yard touchdown pass from Jalen Milroe to Ryan Williams as Alabama led 7-0 over Tennessee at the half. The lead would go back and forth throughout the second half.
With Tennessee leading 24-17, a minute and a half to go, Tennessee's Will Brooks, who played at Vestavia Hills in Birmingham, he intercepted the Jalen Milroe pass to end the game and secure the win for the Vols. It was just the second win for Tennessee over the Crimson Tide in their last 18 matchups. Tennessee handing Alabama its second loss of the year, 24-17.
Frustrating loss. You know, we've had two now. And we just can't play team football, can't bring it together. One side of the ball has highlighted moments and the other side, stumbles and, some missed opportunities. And then, you try to look inward and after every game. And, we got to continue to do the same. I know we got a locker room that's hurting. Feel like it's, there's always, a common feel in the locker room after a loss, but, these guys, I have no doubt in my mind that they poured everything into the preparation. Just frustrated we can't get over the hump.
Next week, the Crimson Tide will have a bye week, but this week, Alabama is getting ready to take on the Missouri Tigers for homecoming.
Yeah, as they prepare out on the practice field, our Christopher England caught up with one of the Tide's defensive linemen for this week's First Off the Field.
And he joins us now from the Crimson Tide indoor practice facility.
I'm Christopher England with TideTV. We're here inside the Hank Cripps indoor practice facility. I'm joined by Jamarian Latham, defensive lineman for the Crimson Tide. How's practice going out there today?
It's going good. We just had to come back and, just refocus, coming off of a loss. So the only thing is really going 1-0, making sure that we're doing the right things this week so that on Saturday we're prepared and in the right spot for the game.
You've been wanting to improve on defense, and you guys had a fantastic first half against Tennessee. 3 turnovers. Just kind of talk about that defensive effort and just getting those turnovers when you really needed them.
That was something that we really harped on, like getting the ball out, just causing turnovers and getting the ball back to our offense so that the time possession is kind of like equal or better than I have. That's something that Coach Kane has also been harping on. Like, it's a couple games where we didn't have many turnovers that we needed and the game didn't turn out like how it should have. So like seeing that shows that, that we're capable of doing it. So now it's just making sure we're building the right habits throughout the week so that it continues to show up on Saturday.
You're going to have a tough team coming up in Missouri. They got some big-time players on their offense. Brady Cook, Luther Burden. It's got some big athletes. Just kind of talk about their offense and what you've seen from them so far.
So far, they do a lot of outside zone stretch plays. They got good running backs, good receivers. It's just about us, for real, just making sure that we're doing whatever we have to do during the week and building the right practice habits so that we can go out and perform to the standard on Saturday.
Let's talk about the fans. Like, the fans had an impact there on our offense, communicating everything. How much of an impact can the fans have in this game on Saturday?
They can have a huge impact. You see Saturday, like how difficult it was for our offense just to get play calling and anything, like just sitting on the sideline. Like, you could tell just how much of an impact that their fans had on the offense. So I feel like if we can, implement that here and get our fans more in tune with the game, then we could probably, up the score on a lot of people that we play.
Thank you, Jamarian. We appreciate it. Good luck on Saturday and Roll Tide.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
forward to talking to you again. For Jamarian Latham, I'm Christopher England, reporting from the Hank Chris Indoor Practice Facility.
Tide TV This Week is presented by the University of Alabama, where legends are made. Ford, visit your local Ford dealer, proud sponsor of the Crimson Tide.
It is just as loud here at Coleman Coliseum tonight.
I thought the whole crowd was unbelievable. I wouldn't miss anything you could possibly be at this season because it's going to be a special season.
Alabama fans at Coleman Coliseum have been so good all year long.
What a scene at Coleman Coliseum.
Let's fill Coleman every time we get a chance to fill Coleman.
What an electric crowd here.
Let's just support this team because it's not that often that you get to put a team of this caliber together.
Welcome back to Tide TV This Week. The Alabama football team is back in Bryant-Denny Stadium, and like I said, it's homecoming week.
Homecoming, the Crimson Tide will take on the Missouri Tigers this season. For a preview of this homecoming matchup, our Christopher England joins us once again.
This will be only the 8th meeting on the gridiron between Alabama and Missouri. The Crimson Tide have won 5 in a row over the Tigers, including all 4 matchups since Missouri joined the SEC. The last matchup between Alabama and Missouri was back in 2020 in Columbia. The Tide rolled over the Tigers 38-19 on their way to winning their 18th national championship. The 2 wins for Missouri were way back in the 60s and 70s. Missouri won their first matchup against Alabama in the 1968 Gator Bowl. The Tigers won that matchup 35-10. Mizzou's other win was in 1975 at Legion Field in Birmingham, a 20-7 victory. Alabama and Missouri also met in the SEC championship game in 2014. The Crimson Tide won their 24th Southeastern Conference title with a 42-13 win. 17th-ranked Missouri enters this year's matchup 6-1, winners of 19 of their last 23 games. Their lone loss this season was a rough one, a 41-10 defeat at the hands of the Texas A&M Aggies. Mizzou has wins over Boston College and Vanderbilt and won their last matchup against Auburn. In that game against the Tigers this past Saturday, quarterback Brady Cook suffered an ankle injury on the first drive of the game. After a visit to the hospital, Cook was able to return late in the third quarter and rallied Mizzou from 14 points down in the second half to a 21-17 win. Filling in for Cook in his absence last week was former Notre Dame and Arizona State quarterback Drew Pine. In his 5th season of play, Pine has completed 29 of 43 passes for 206 yards. It looks as though the Tigers may be without their starting quarterback and running back. Cook is still dealing with that ankle injury and is doubtful for this weekend against the Crimson Tide. Mizzou's leading rusher Nate Noel is 5th in the SEC in rushing and is also listed as doubtful and expected to miss the game. Besides Noel and Cook, Marcus Carroll is the only other Tiger to have rushed for more than 100 yards this season. Carroll averages almost 5 yards per carry as he's totaled 321 yards with 6 touchdowns. Cook has thrown for just 7 touchdowns on the season, and 4 of those have gone to Luther Burden. Burden leads the Tigers with 37 receptions and has 447 receiving yards on the year, but hasn't caught a touchdown in his last 3 games. Alabama is 2nd in the SEC in turnovers gained with 15, but Missouri doesn't turn the ball over very often. The Tigers are 4th in the nation, committing just 4 turnovers on the season, 1 interception, and 3 fumbles. The strength of this Missouri team has been their defense. The Tigers are 3rd in the SEC in total defense, allowing just 273 yards per game, 2nd in pass defense, allowing just 157 yards through the air, and 4th in scoring defense, allowing just over 15 points per game. That's 6 better per game than the Crimson Tide. This will be the 102nd homecoming matchup all time for the Crimson Tide. The Tide has won 88 of those, including 20 in a row. Kickoff for Saturday's matchup against the Tigers is set for 2:45. The game will be broadcast on ABC. Stay with us. We'll have more Tide TV This Week coming up next.
Tide TV This Week is presented by Ford. Visit your local Ford dealer. Proud sponsor of the Crimson Tide, the University of Alabama, where legends are made.
Roll Tide, roll! The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Cunningham again. Shot good, and she's fouled. There she goes, and there's Parker.
Timmons there, setting her team up.
Possibly the dagger for Alabama. Right to the rim. Got it. Kicks. Nye, right corner three. She hits it. Nye steals the inbounds. Left side to Timmons. Layup good. It's a 2-point game.
Hey Tide fans, welcome back to Tide TV This Week. The second-ranked Alabama men's basketball team hit the court this past Friday night for their first preseason matchup of the season in Birmingham.
Nate Oates' squad took on Wake Forest at Boutwell Auditorium for a charity exhibition game, with proceeds benefiting Children's of Alabama. Alabama had 9 different players score in the first half, led by Mark Sears with 8 points. Mo Diabate provided a real spark off the bench for Alabama as he finished the first half with 7 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, as well as a block. Tide led by 8 at the break, 46-38.
And newcomer Aiden Holloway connected for 4 threes to lead the Tide in scoring in the second half with 14. Alabama forced 9 Wake Forest turnovers as the Tide led by as many as 26 in that second half.
And there were also some big alley-oops and dunks that really got the crowd excited all throughout the ballgame. Crimson Tide looked dominant as they led for over 36 minutes, routing the Demon Deacons in Birmingham 98-77.
Alabama had 5 scores in double figures, led by Aiden Holloway with a game-high 20 points and 6 assists. Mark Sears was just behind him with 19 points while also dishing out 6 assists.
LeBaron Philon finished with 13 points as well as 5 assists, while Mo Diabate and Jaron Stevenson finished with 10 each. And with that Final Four run last year, Nate Oates and the Crimson Tide won't be flying under the radar this season. The Tide is ranked 2nd in the Associated Press preseason top 25.
And Alabama was also picked #1 in the first ever Power 37 from NCAA March Madness and Andy Katz. The Tide was also picked to win the league by the SEC media at Media Days.
Mark Sears also picked up a couple of preseason honors. Sears earned Associated Press preseason All-America First Team honors. Sears was also named the CBS Sports preseason All-America First Team.
He was also named the Men's College Basketball Preseason National Player of the Year by CBS Sports, and there's still more Roger. Sears was chosen as the first team All-SEC selection. It was named the SEC Preseason Player of the Year.
A lot of great honors for Mark Sears there, and also Grant Nelson received some preseason love. Nelson was selected to the preseason All-SEC second team.
There's a lot of great honors for men's basketball team, and I'm so excited. It's going to be an awesome season.
It certainly is, Paige, and as we get ready for the upcoming season, let's take an all-access look at the Crimson Tide's win over Wake Forest in Birmingham.
It is a spectacular autumn evening in Birmingham, Alabama. And right downtown at Historia, Boutwell Auditorium. The Wake Forest Demon Deacons will visit the #2 team in the nation, Alabama Crimson Tide, for his first game. Rebound and put it in. Now a dunk on the other end. What a gorgeous pass by Sears, and then Philon, and then Reed hammers it home. And now Sears, an NBA 3. Back, so Diamante to the basket. What a nice move in the paint. Nice feed to Sears. He's going to kick it back out to Philon. The 3 is good. 98-77. The Alabama Crimson Tide gets the win over Wake.
It was a great start to the season for head coach Nate Oates and the second-ranked Crimson Tide, but they didn't just play basketball while they were there in Birmingham.
Yeah, Coach Oates and the Crimson Tide took time out from practice to put a few smiles on the faces of children at the Children's of Alabama Hospital in Birmingham. Let's take a look at their visit.
I mean, it meant a lot because, man, it just put everything into perspective. Like, whatever we're going through, it's a small change to whatever they're going through. So, man, it just put everything into perspective, and then be grateful for all opportunities.
It's great for our guys to come here, see some kids that needed some energy, some uplifting, some motivation.
You got to throw it harder. You got to throw it harder.
It's always good to see kids that need some help, and you can, even if it's just a little bit of help, but maybe provide some inspiration.
It is just as loud here at Coleman Coliseum tonight.
I thought the whole crowd was unbelievable. I wouldn't miss anything you could possibly be at this season because it's going to be a special season.
Alabama fans at Coleman Coliseum have been so good all year long.
What a scene at Coleman Coliseum.
Let's fill Coleman every time we get a chance to fill Coleman.
What an electric crowd here.
Let's just support this team because it's not that often that you get to put a team of this caliber together.
Welcome back. I'm Paige Riley. He's Roger Hoover, and this is TideTV This Week.
Yes, it is, Paige. And this past Thursday was the final regular season match for the Alabama soccer team.
It was, and our Mary Reagan Bullock, she was there. She has all the details from the Tide's final home match of the season.
It was an exciting senior night here in Tuscaloosa as the Alabama soccer team solidified a 3-1 victory over the Florida Gators for their last regular season home game. Florida started off a little too strong, costing them a yellow and red card in the first half, but Nadia Swan exploded on offense in the 40th minute to give Alabama their first goal of the night. Alabama kept the momentum throughout the second half with 2 goals by Gianna Paul and Natalia Gemelli to give the biggest lead this season. Florida tried to sneak back into the game with a goal in the last 6 minutes, but Alabama secured the win for their last home game of the regular season. Bama will travel to Nashville on Sunday to take on the Vanderbilt Commodores for the last regular season game. Reporting from the Alabama Soccer Stadium, I'm Mary Reagan Bullock with TideTV.
Thank you, Mary Reagan. The Alabama volleyball team still has about a month left in their regular season.
Rashinda Reed's squad is in the midst of a 4-game road swing with the first stop in Norman, Oklahoma this past Wednesday night. Oklahoma opens set 1 with 11 consecutive points to win by double digits in the opening frame, 25-11. Alabama held multiple leads in set 2. Tide led 19-18 late, but the Sooners closed out the second set on a 7-1 scoring run to take a 2-0 advantage with a 25-20 win. The Sooners were too strong in the third set as they finished off the sweep with a 25-12 victory. And coming up after their 4-game road trip, the Crimson Tide volleyball team will finally return to Foster Auditorium on November 15th to host Mississippi State.
And you know who is also at home? The Alabama cross-country team. Dan Waters' team held their only home meet of the season this past Friday at the Harry Pritchett running track here in Tuscaloosa. And with no surprise, there was over 1,500 fans in attendance. The Crimson Tide swept both the men's and women's teams' titles, as well as taking the top 2 spots in both races.
Freshman Dennis Caputo finished just ahead of teammate Victor Kiprop as he took home the men's title. Kiprop finished just 0.2 of a second behind Caputo as Hudson Hurst also recorded a top 10 time in the 8K run.
And Doris Lemangole and Brenda Tuwe took the top 2 spots in the women's race. Lemangole captured her 3rd consecutive women's individual title this season, while Tuwe crossed the finish line just a 1/10 of a second behind Lemangole in the women's 6K race. Francisca Dressler and Addison Dorenkamp also placed in the top 10 as they finished 6th and 7th.
And with that performance, the Crimson Tide men remain atop the South Region rankings again this week and also move up 1 spot in the national rankings to number 11.
And the women's team moves up 1 spot as they replace Florida as the number 1 team in the South Region. In the national rankings, the women remain 7th overall again this week.
The Alabama softball team was back in action this past weekend at the Rhodes House for some more fall ball. As the Crimson Tide played a couple of doubleheaders over the weekend, the Crimson Tide swept Friday's doubleheader against West Alabama by a combined score of 11-3.
Brea Hodges closed out both games as newcomers Emily Winstead and Caitlin Riley each threw 3 scoreless innings in Game 2.
Really, the Bats came alive on Sunday against Stillman as the Crimson Tide belted 27 runs as they swept another doubleheader. Abby Dukeshire had a 3-run triple in Game 1, while Kennedy Marceau hit a solo shot over the wall and left. Marley Giles also had a home run in that 15-2 win in Game 1.
Also, Kendall Clark had an inside-the-park home run in Game 2 as the Tide closed out the doubleheader with a 12-1 win in Game 2.
And the 11th-ranked Alabama men's golf team wrap up their fall season as the Crimson Tide finished 14th at the Golf Club of Georgia Collegiate. Dominic Clemens and Jonathan Grizz led the Tide with a 54-hole score of 4 over par 220 to finish tied for 42nd overall.
Make sure to stay with us. We'll have our plays and players of the week coming up next.
Roll Tide, roll! The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Cunningham again. Shot good and she's fouled. There she goes and there's Barker.
Timmons there. Setting her team up.
Possibly the dagger for Alabama. Right to the rim. Got it. Kicks. Nye. Right corner. 3. She hits it. Nye steals the inbounds. Left side to Timmons. Layup good. It's a 2-point game.
That ball is dumped away and saved by Reed. And now a dunk on the other end by Alori. And Reed hammers it home.
And Tawan will equalize things with about a minute and a half to play.
Saying they have it, and the officials concur. Throws deep into coverage, and his first throw of the afternoon is intercepted by Malachi Moore. Running out of time, hit as he throws, intercepted.
And those were our ATI plays of the week.
Now let's take a look at our players of the week, brought to you by Legacy of Hope. Dennis Caputo took home the men's title in the 8K race at the Crimson Classic. Caputo was also named the SEC Men's Freshman of the Week for the second time this season.
And Doris Lehman-Gole won her 3rd consecutive race as she took home top honors in the women's 6K at the Crimson Classic.
Also, huge congratulations to Brenda Tuohy as she was named the SEC Women's Freshman of the Week for the 2nd place finish at the Crimson Classic.
Congratulations to Brenda and our Players of the Week, again brought to you by Legacy of Hope.
It's going to be an awesome week for homecoming, and we'll have that matchup with Missouri and all the festivities on next week's show.
And Halloween's also coming up next week, and our student athletes held their annual Halloween Extravaganza this past Monday night.
Let's take a look at the great event as we say goodbye.
We'll see you next week, everyone. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
I think Halloween Extravaganza is a great event to get back to the kids in the community. You know, the kids who come and support Alabama athletics so much, and there's an opportunity for them to come and trick or treat.
So we're here at the Halloween Extravaganza, which happens annually here in Tuscaloosa, just for the kids to come out and just play and be around with them, interact with the community, also giving back because they come to our games. So this is just a perfect opportunity for us to get back to the community.
I love doing the Halloween Extravaganza. It's a great way to have some community involvement. It's fun to watch my friends on the other teams get to show off a little bit of games in their sport and show love to Tuscaloosa, the community that really supports us here at UA. And we're doing it on campus at the athletic facility, so it's a really great opportunity to be a part of. And it's good to see all the families and kids here smiling.
This has been a presentation from Learfield,